2025 has already become part of history. However, its outcomes turned out to be far from what many had hoped for. In the past year, humanity missed several decisive opportunities when the catastrophic escalation of cataclysms could still have been brought under control. And unfortunately, their development continues. Do people still have a chance to influence the scenario that has already been set in motion? You will find the answers in today's episode. As is well known, micro and nanoplastics have become active participants in climatic processes, repeatedly amplifying the abnormality, power, and consequences of the already intensifying natural phenomena. By altering the thermal conductivity of ocean waters, plastic particles disrupt heat exchange between the ocean and the atmosphere, effectively turning the world ocean into a gigantic energy accumulator. The accumulated heat is converted into the potential and kinetic energy of the atmosphere, the excess of which underlies the intensification of tropical cyclones, storms, anomalous winds, tornadoes, and other dynamic processes. Tornadoes. In March 2025, a destructive storm front swept across the United States, becoming the cause of the largest tornado outbreak in the history of meteorological observations for this month. In total, over the course of 3 days, at least 100 tornadoes were recorded, which turned entire areas into ruins. This storm became one of the most destructive in the United States in recent years and claimed the lives of 42 people. Some individual tornadoes were distinguished by exceptional intensity. On June 20th, near the town of Enderlin in the state of North Dakota, United States, one of the most powerful tornadoes of the 21st century, was recorded. The vortex received an official rating of EF5, the highest category on the enhanced Fujita scale. Wind speeds exceeded 338 kilometers per hour. This was the first tornado of such strength in the country in the past 12 years. The tornado overturned fully loaded grain rail cars, and one empty tank car was thrown almost 150 meters. Some trees were torn out by the roots, while others were left as truncated, barkless trunks. A local farm was completely destroyed, and buildings were torn from their foundations. The elements claimed the lives of 3 people. The destructive vortex, more than 1.5 kilometers wide, left a gigantic scar on the Earth's surface, visible even from space. On November 7th, the Brazilian state of Paraná was struck by an EF4 category tornado with winds of up to 300 kilometers per hour. This vortex became the most tragic in the entire modern history of the country. It destroyed 90% of the municipality of Rio Bonito do Iguaçu. In just a few minutes, the city came to resemble a combat zone. Neighborhoods lay in ruins, and cars were scattered as if they were children's toys. 6 people were killed, 750 residents were injured, with severe injuries in 30 cases. During Storm Claudia, which occurred in mid-November, an IF2 category tornado was recorded in Albufeira, a well-known tourist city in southern Portugal. It struck a hotel restaurant in the morning during breakfast, when several dozen guests were present. 28 people were injured, including 6 children aged from 2 months to 7 years. 4 were taken to hospitals with serious injuries. The vortex also swept through a campsite where a woman was killed. It is important to emphasize that even second-category tornadoes are extremely rare for Portugal. Over the past 30 years, according to the European Severe Weather Database, only 4 such cases have been recorded in the country, and 3 of them occurred in 2025. At the same time, Portugal is not an exception. Across Europe as a whole, an alarming exponential increase in the number of tornadoes is being observed.
Go look for the emergencies.
The examples of Brazil and Portugal clearly demonstrate the expansion of the geography of tornadoes. Today, vortices are increasingly being recorded in regions where they were previously almost never observed. On August 29th, 3 tornadoes were recorded at once on the Reykjanes Peninsula in Iceland, an event unusual for these places. Since 1980, only 13 such phenomena have been observed in the region. On August 3rd, an IF2 category tornado swept across the territory of the Jewish Autonomous Region of Russia. This was an extraordinarily powerful phenomenon for these places. Over the entire history of the region, only a few vortices have been recorded here, and only in recent years, as climate change has intensified. Tornadoes in Colombia are extremely rare. Prior to this moment, only one case had been recorded in the entire history of the country, in 2001. But on September 14th of last year, the elements struck again. In the city of San Angel, Magdalena Department, a tornado destroyed a bullfighting arena and the buildings surrounding it. Over the course of several days at the end of October, at least 4 tornadoes occurred in northern and western Turkey, including 2 IF2 category tornadoes, one of which claimed a human life. According to official statistics, no more than 2 tornadoes are recorded annually in the country, predominantly of the first category. Such an outbreak therefore became extremely anomalous. Due to the expansion of the geography of tornadoes, vortices are increasingly reaching densely populated cities that are unprepared for such a threat, which significantly increases destruction and the number of victims. Mid-May brought a powerful storm system that swept across the central and eastern states of the United States, generating several dozen tornadoes. In the state of Missouri, a destructive EF3 category tornado struck the major city of St. Louis. The vortex, with wind speeds exceeding 240 kilometers per hour and a width of 1.5 kilometers, passed through city neighborhoods, destroying everything in its path. More than 5,000 buildings were damaged. The mayor called this storm one of the most destructive in the city's history. 5 people were killed and another 38 were injured. An EF1 category tornado with wind speeds of up to 180 kilometers per hour also struck the economic center of the state of Maryland, the major port city of Baltimore. The funnel passed through densely populated areas, leaving behind a trail of destruction approximately 9.5 kilometers long. Tropical cyclones. The 2025 tropical hurricane season confirms a trend that has been becoming increasingly noticeable with each passing year. In the absence of a significant increase in the overall number of such events, the proportion of powerful hurricanes is growing. Thus, according to data from the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, in the Atlantic Basin during the past season, 13 named storms were recorded, of which 5 intensified into hurricanes, and 3 reached the 5th, maximum category. In the entire history of observations, this has been recorded only once, in 2005. This is an alarming signal since last year's season, even without being as anomalously active as the 2005 season, still produced 3 hurricanes of the highest intensity. The tropical hurricane Melissa stands out in particular, one of the strongest storms ever recorded in the entire history of observations. Wind gusts within it reached about 406 kilometers per hour. This figure is approximately 6 kilometers per hour higher than the record gust recorded in a tropical cyclone over the ocean, and only 1 kilometer per hour lower than the fastest wind gust ever measured on Earth. In previous climate reports, we noted the intensification of the cascading nature of cataclysms when natural forces follow one another, and each subsequent blow is often more powerful than the previous one. In 2025, this trend manifested itself especially vividly. Typhoons came with such frequency that the residents of Southeast Asia had no time to recover. Thus, just a few days after the strike of the deadly super typhoon Ragasa, on September 26th, tropical storm Bualoy hit the Philippines. After 2 days, having gained strength in the South China Sea and becoming a typhoon, Bualoy struck Vietnam. More than 144,000 homes were damaged in central Vietnam alone, and vast areas were left without electricity. More than 26,000 hectares of rice and other agricultural crops were destroyed. On a nationwide scale, the victims of the elements numbered 56 people. Specialists note that Typhoon Bualoy turned out to be one of the rarest and most anomalous phenomena. Its speed in the South China Sea reached 35 kilometers per hour, which almost doubled the norm. And in Ha Tin province, it maintained destructive force for more than 11 hours, becoming the most powerful in the entire history of observations in the region. Although Typhoon Kalmegi, which struck the Philippine province of Cebu on November 4th, did not become record-breaking in terms of wind speed, its slow movement and colossal amount of precipitation made the elements deadly. In the Philippines, the elements claimed the lives of at least 269 people. According to the authorities, most of them drowned. For a long time, tropical cyclones had a clearly defined formation zone, the warm waters of the tropics above 5/5 degrees of latitude, where the conditions necessary for their genesis are established. However, in 2025, we observe an alarming trend. This zone is noticeably expanding. For people living in newly emerging, potentially dangerous areas, this becomes a serious problem. Infrastructure and warning systems there are not designed for the power of tropical cyclones, so residents face a natural force for which they are unprepared, both morally and technically. As a result, the expansion of the tropical cyclone formation zone is becoming one of the most dangerous and underestimated climate signals of the past year. Thus, Typhoon Neoguri formed in the Pacific Ocean in September at an unusually high latitude and was classified as the most northeastern storm since 1997. Cyclone Ditva, which struck Sri Lanka in November, became one of the most destructive storms in the country's history. More than 1 million people were affected, around 15,000 homes were damaged, and the death toll exceeded 460 people. Since cyclones form extremely rarely in this region, such severe consequences were caused primarily not by the strength of the storm, but by the lack of preparedness for such a scenario. An even rarer phenomenon was Senyar, which for the first time in 135 years formed in the Malacca Strait, less than 5 degrees from the equator, where cyclones usually do not occur due to the weak influence of Earth's rotation, which does not allow a storm to spin up. Senyar also became the first cyclone in history to make landfall on the western coast of peninsular Malaysia, and only the third storm ever to affect the country's territory. It caused catastrophic flooding in Indonesia and Malaysia. On the island of Sumatra alone, more than 900 people were killed and over 2,500 were injured.
Alat transportasi, evakuasi.
Upon reaching the 5th category, on October 28th, Hurricane Melissa, with winds of nearly 300 kilometers per hour, struck the coast of Jamaica and became the most powerful storm in 174 years of meteorological observations in this region. 3/4 of the island's residents were left without electricity and communications. The entire territory of Jamaica was officially declared a disaster zone. Eyewitnesses described what was happening as scenes from a disaster movie. Palm trees snapped like matchsticks, washed out roads, and houses flooded up to window level. The victims of the elements numbered 19 people. Hurricane Melissa also affected other countries of the Caribbean basin, causing chaos and resulting in human casualties. In the Dominican Republic, 1 person died and another went missing. It is noteworthy that over the past 10 years, this is the first case in which not a single tropical hurricane made landfall on the mainland United States. However, this fact creates a dangerous illusion of stability, since it is not associated with a reduction in storm activity. The key factor was a persistent atmospheric anomaly, a low-pressure trough along the east coast that acted as a protective barrier and diverted major hurricanes into the Atlantic Ocean. This brought the country temporary relief, but did not reduce the overall level of risk. The most powerful phenomenon in the Western Pacific was Super Typhoon Ragasa. On September 22nd, it passed over the Philippines. Sustained wind speeds exceeded 265 kilometers per hour, with gusts reaching up to 295 kilometers per hour. As a result of the typhoon, floods and landslides occurred. Air flights, ferry services, and fishing activities were suspended, but one fishing vessel with people nevertheless came under the impact of waves and strong winds, which led to the deaths of 7 people. On the island of Taiwan, Typhoon Ragasa triggered unprecedented rainfall. In some areas, about 1,000 millimeters of precipitation fell. In Hualien County, the consequences were catastrophic. A natural dam was breached. 60 million tons of water poured down on the tourist settlement of Guangfu, and mud flows laden with silt swept away houses and cars, resembling a tsunami. At least 17 people became victims of the elements. The year 2025 demonstrated unprecedented climatic phenomena and record-breaking anomalies. An involuntary question arises. Could humanity have prevented such a development of events? It could have. Scientists from ALLATRA proposed a technological solution: atmospheric water generators. Their widespread implementation would have made it possible to reduce pollution of the world ocean by micro and nanoplastics, restore the water cycle and the planet's thermal balance, and ultimately stabilize the climatic situation.
I believe many of you remember the technology known as AWG, the atmospheric water generator, which once held the promise of purifying the air from contaminants, including plastic. It was an innovative beacon of hope, a technology that, if deployed globally, could have preserved the health of lives of billions and helped cleanse the planet. But we missed that opportunity. In matters like these, the time factor is decisive. It is essential to understand that ALLATRA scientists first proposed using AWG to purify oceanic waters more than 20 years ago, at a time when the concentration of microplastic in the atmosphere remained extremely low. Back then, implementing such technologies could have delivered tangible environmental benefits without posing serious risk to human health. At that time, AWG could have been a lifeline. But today, given the elevated levels of nanoplastic in the atmosphere, it poses a danger. Widespread deployment of AWG technology under current conditions could significantly increase the concentration of microplastic in the air. This creates a serious risk of elevating airborne nanoplastic levels, posing a direct threat to human health and life. Inhaling nanoplastic contributes to its accumulation in the body, including the brain. This is a critical point.
Anomalous temperatures.
Much earlier than usual, and monsoons.
In 2025, India experienced its warmest winter in 124 years, while abnormally early heat waves were already recorded in February. Particular attention was drawn to the rise in minimum temperatures. On March 15th, in the states of Odisha and Jharkhand, the first warm night of the year was recorded. However, the past year in India was marked not only by heat records. Cold waves began earlier than usual and covered a significant territory. In June, North America was struck by a powerful heat wave that affected more than 255 million people in the United States and Canada.
A ridge of high pressure can build in the atmosphere, causing lots.
In just 1 week, more than 3,000 cases of record-high daily temperatures were registered in the United States, including absolute maxima for the entire history of observations.
These heat domes park over cities, metropolitan in the day.
It is especially important that most of the records were set for minimum daily, that is, nighttime temperatures. Unfortunately, this extremely dangerous trend is already being observed worldwide. Stifling and abnormally warm nights deprive the body of rest after daytime heat, causing heat stress, dehydration, and strain on the cardiovascular system. From April to September of 2025, Europe was hit by a series of extreme heat waves that claimed approximately 16,500 lives. In the north of the continent, temperatures reached unprecedented values. In Norway, temperatures above 30 degrees Celsius persisted for almost 2 consecutive weeks, while in Finland, temperatures exceeded 25 degrees for 26 days. Local hospitals were overwhelmed, and people suffered so severely from the prolonged heat that in the north of the country, an ice rink was even opened as a refuge from the heat. Reindeer were spotted in cities. Wild animals were searching for water and shelter. In southern Europe, people endured heat above 40 degrees Celsius, and in a number of countries, new national June records were recorded. In Italy, a ban was introduced on working outdoors during the hottest hours of the day, and in Greece, major tourist attractions were temporarily closed. The heat caused drought and numerous wildfires in dozens of European countries. In Russia, in Zabaikalsky Krai and the Republic of Buryatia, the wildfire season of 2025 proved to be particularly severe. The main reasons were a low snow winter and a record warm spring in the entire history of observations. Temperatures in these regions were 5 to 7 degrees higher than long-term averages. Siberia and the Arctic were struck by temperature anomalies. In Yakutsk, a city with an extremely cold climate, January turned out to be record warm. On certain days, temperatures rose more than 24 degrees Celsius above the climatic norm. Daily records for maximum temperature were recorded for 6 consecutive days. Residents noticed that willow had already begun to bloom, which is uncharacteristic even for early April, and that catkins had swollen on birch trees. On the 20th of August, on V's Island in the Kara Sea, the temperature for the first time in the entire history of observations reached 11.6 degrees Celsius, exceeding the previous August record by 2.5 degrees at once. Abnormally high temperatures were accompanied by a thunderstorm, an extremely rare phenomenon for these latitudes, recorded here only for the third time in the 21st century. On the same day, in the north of the Taimyr Peninsula, at Cape Sterligov, the air temperature reached 23 degrees Celsius, with an average monthly maximum of only 6.6 degrees Celsius. Temperature contrasts in different regions of Russia turned out to be so sharp that even meteorologists lacked words to describe the scale of the weather chaos. Thus, in February, in the city of Ivdel in Sverdlovsk Oblast, a nighttime frost of minus 26 degrees Celsius changed to daytime positive temperatures in just a few hours. A difference of more than 28 degrees over 12 hours became a serious test for residents. The temperature difference over 12 hours amounted to 28.4 degrees Celsius. At the same time, in the south of the country, on the contrary, abnormally cold weather set in, accompanied by heavy snowfall. In the Kabardino-Balkarian Republic, the end of February turned out to be the coldest in the entire history of meteorological observations in the region. In Krasnodar, Novorossiysk, as well as in other cities and districts of Kuban, bodies of water froze and hummocks formed on them. In Sochi, snow fell not only in the mountainous areas, where the height of snowdrifts reached 3 meters, but also directly on the coast. Green lawns, palm trees, and flowers were covered with a thick layer of snow, a phenomenon extremely rare for this region. The bad weather reached neighboring Georgia as well, in the usually warm resort city of Batumi, where due to the mild climate, houses are not equipped with centralized heating, a sharp cold spell occurred. The city was buried under snow in such volumes that municipal services had to switch to round-the-clock operations. In January, the United States faced a series of powerful winter storms. On the 3rd of January, the central states were hit by anomalous snowfalls. In Kansas, the snow cover grew to 46 centimeters, causing serious disruptions in transportation, power outages, and fatalities. Just a few days later, the elements struck the southeastern part of the country, bringing severe winter conditions to nearly 25 states and affecting about 80 million people. In regions unaccustomed to such frosts and snowfalls, life was paralyzed. Starting from the 20th of January, a powerful storm hit the southern states, becoming a serious test for the region. On the Gulf Coast, where snow is rare, the snowfalls broke multi-year and even century-old records. At least 9 people became victims of hypothermia and road accidents.
Don't go one more day feeling insecure.
For the first time in history, the U.S. National Weather Service issued a blizzard warning for certain areas of Louisiana and Texas.
What?
At the beginning of February, Japan was struck by the heaviest snowfalls. In some places, up to 129 centimeters of snow fell in 48 hours. And in the city of Obihiro, Hokkaido Prefecture, 120 centimeters fell in just 12 hours. This became a record figure in the country since the start of meteorological observations. In some areas, snowdrifts reached 4 meters, causing road closures and putting house roofs at risk of collapse. From the 5th of April, Arctic cold covered Central and Eastern Europe, the Balkans, the Mediterranean, and Turkey. After a warm March, the sharp cold and snowfalls led to frost, blizzards, and strong winds, destroying almost the entire fruit tree harvest. In Belarus, more than 270 settlements were left without electricity. In Poland, the sharp cold was accompanied by snowfalls, freezing rain, and strong winds. In the Carpathians, Ukraine, the temperature dropped to minus 18 degrees Celsius. In Bulgaria, the snow cover reached 40 centimeters, and in Turkey, the temperature was 4 to 10 degrees Celsius below the norm. The April cold also affected South Korea. In one day, the temperature in Seoul dropped from almost plus 25 degrees Celsius to plus 1.1 degrees Celsius. Particularly remarkable was the fall of late April snow, the first time in 118 years of observations. In northern Saudi Arabia in mid-December, heavy snowfalls occurred accompanied by wind and thick fog. Snow covered not only mountain peaks, but also the adjacent desert plateaus. Thermometers dropped to minus 4 degrees Celsius. Such an event had not been observed in the region for almost 30 years. Even more unusual was the snowfall in Argentina on Christmas, the 25th of December, in the middle of summer in the southern hemisphere. In the high-altitude areas of Salta and Jujuy provinces, the temperature dropped to plus 1 degree Celsius, corresponding to typical winter values, and the heavy snow disrupted traffic on strategically important roads. Meteorologists noted that the advancement of cold masses so far north is a serious anomaly. At the same time, southeastern Brazil experienced abnormal heat. Temperatures reached plus 37.2 degrees Celsius. In Sao Paulo, over 4 days, the record for the highest December temperature was broken 3 times, and this is against a usual average maximum temperature for this month of 28.3 degrees Celsius. A new monthly record for several decades is a rare phenomenon, and 3 records in 4 days is a true anomaly. Seismic activity. In 2025, a surge of seismic and volcanic activity was recorded worldwide. And we are not talking about a mere increase in the number of events, but about a profound change in the overall pattern. Look at the graph of earthquakes with a magnitude of 3 and above. It shows not a gradual increase, but a distinct jump. Until recently, earthquakes of magnitude 5, not to mention stronger ones, made global news. They were covered by the media, discussed by experts, and actively debated by society. Today, however, reality has changed. Seismic events of magnitude 5 occur so frequently that they almost no longer attract attention, and earthquakes of magnitude 6 and even 7, unfortunately, are increasingly perceived as commonplace. Yet this sense of normality represents a dangerous illusion. Let us recall just a part of the thousands of similar events that occurred last year. On the 7th of January, a powerful earthquake of magnitude 6.8 shook Tibet. The main seismic shock and more than 600 aftershocks led to the destruction of dozens of villages and over 3,600 houses. 126 people lost their lives, and thousands were left homeless in harsh winter conditions. On the 3rd of June, an earthquake of magnitude 5.8 occurred in the Mediterranean Sea. In Turkey's Mola province, the number of injured reached 75 people, most of whom were hurt while jumping out of windows. The increase in seismic activity here terrifies people so much that every tremor becomes a source of severe stress. During the earthquake, a 14-year-old girl suffered a severe panic attack. Unfortunately, despite medical assistance, she passed away. Balıkesir province experienced 2 earthquakes of magnitude over 6 in August and October. As seismologists note, for 3 months, abnormally high seismic activity for the region was recorded. About 12,000 seismic events. A powerful seismic tremor of magnitude 6.0 struck the eastern provinces of Afghanistan on the 31st of August. More than 2,200 people died, and over 3,300 were injured. Powerful and shallow aftershocks, 3 of which had a magnitude above 5.0, leveled houses that had only partially been damaged by the main earthquake. Many villages were reduced to ruins. Some of the most devastated areas were inaccessible. Local residents manually cleared debris from mud brick and stone houses, trying to save their loved ones. Last year, the Philippine archipelago was shaken by a series of strong earthquakes. On the 30th of September in the evening, a magnitude 6.9 tremor was recorded near the coastal city of Bogo. It became one of the strongest in the past 10 years in the central region of the Philippines. The dangerously shallow depth of only 5 kilometers caused massive destruction and the deaths of at least 69 people. In the south of the country on the 10th of October, 2 more powerful seismic events occurred. The first, of magnitude 7.4, was recorded in the Pacific Ocean. The tremors were felt in dozens of settlements on Mindanao Island. Vehicles on the streets swayed violently, and residents fled their homes in panic. About 10 hours later, a second tremor of magnitude 6.8 followed. This intensified the consequences and caused new destruction in already affected areas. As a result of the disaster, 8 people died and hundreds were injured. In the Drake Passage area, increased seismic activity was also noted. Over 6 months of 2025, 3 earthquakes with a magnitude over 7 occurred there, whereas in the entire history of observations in the region, only 4 had been recorded. In 2025, earthquakes were observed with such anomalous and record-breaking characteristics that they did not fit into the known modern laws of seismology. The most powerful strike-slip earthquake of magnitude 7.7 occurred on the 28th of March in central Myanmar. The hypocenter was located at a depth of 10 kilometers. Such seismic events are extremely rare and are considered among the most destructive. They can be described as the seismic equivalent of supersonic motion. In Myanmar, the rupture in the Earth's crust propagated southward at a speed of more than 5 kilometers per second. This led to catastrophic losses. Thousands of houses, temples, mosques, and centuries-old historical monuments collapsed in the country. Telephone communication completely ceased, and electricity was cut off. Landslides destroyed bridges and roads, cut off certain areas from the outside world. More than 3,800 people died. In the capital of Thailand, Bangkok, located more than 1,000 kilometers from the epicenter, buildings swayed violently and cracks appeared in thousands of them. A 30-story skyscraper under construction collapsed in the city, resulting in at least 22 deaths.